embodies a marriage where the groom and his family have a special tradition.
Bachelor party?
Angel! Now the party can really start.
A ritual one of the guests will not be prepared for. An all-new Angel.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm your other host, 10-time Academy Award winner, James.
Damn, 10 times. Okay.
10 times.
Wow. As mentioned, this week we will be jumping into Angel, Season 1, Episode 7, The Bachelor Party. Which, as we stated last week, is clearly about werewolves.
Obviously, it's about werewolves. What else would it be about?
Exactly. I mean, come on.
Right.
So what's going on, James? How you doing? What's new? We haven't seen each other in at least 15 minutes.
At least 15 minutes. No, you know how well, maybe this doesn't happen to you, but I thought about it. So when we took our little break here, I went down to grab something to drink, and I ended up I haven't had one in ages. So I was talking to someone earlier today, and I mentioned how I had at one point developed an addiction to strawberries and cream flavor Dr. Pepper.
Uh-huh.
And after mentioning that with this person, I started craving one so bad that I ran out to the store and got one.
Wow. Yeah, Dr. Pepper, regular Dr. Pepper is my all-time favorite drink. All time. However, as stated before on this show, I am unable to consume caffeine anymore.
Right.
And in my part of the country, it is literally impossible to find the caffeine-free Dr. Pepper. So for the last, how long has it been now? About 7 years or so? Yeah, I've just had to suffer and hate life.
Wow.
Yep. So, yeah, you should enjoy it.
You know, well, I'm really not much of a soda pop drinker anymore. We've talked about this before.
Soda pop.
You know, I've got a Soda Stream, and I use that a lot to carbonate various things, because I at one point realized that my so-called addiction was actually just the carbonation and not like soda itself. But after talking about strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper earlier today, like I started craving one so much, I was like, I have to go get one.
You had to get your fix.
I had to get my fix, yeah.
Now, did you mainline it or did you just drink it?
I had tied it off, and
Good man.
Yep. Straight right into the veins. Right
on.
Into the veins. My my usual choice when I need to quench the carbonation cravings is I will grab a Crush makes various flavors of, the powder package you can put into bottles of water. They make a pineapple one, and I will carbonate some water and pour in a pineapple flavor powder, so it makes like a pineapple soda, and that's usually my go-to quencher when I'm craving carbonation. But anyway.
What about when you're craving cock? Okay.
Oh, by the way,
yeah,
I want an answer right now, because you haven't answered me on Facebook yet. Where do you stand on eggnog? I need to know.
How does that picture not clearly state my stance?
I'm sorry, it's confusing to me.
He's drooling and begging for more.
Okay. Now it is clear.
I fucking love the nog.
Okay, now it is clear.
In fact, both of my roommates hate it, and I cannot understand. I've said, how can you hate heaven liquefied?
It doesn't make any sense, does it?
Like when you take a drink of it, how can a person take a drink of eggnog and be like, "Oh, this isn't pleasurable"?
I don't know.
That doesn't
I
make
don't know.
sense to me.
It doesn't.
You
It
know.
doesn't.
Now, I've never made my own. I don't know that I would trust myself to make it deliciously. But and there are definitely certain. I've had a lot of different eggnogs in my life, and there are certainly brands that I think are disgusting. Oh God! While we're talking about that, I'm lactose intolerant,
Okay.
as is my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So last year we tried the lactate version of eggnog because we both drink the lactate milk.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, oh fuck yeah, they just hell yeah. Well, it was fucking hideous. I mean, and I don't know why, because it doesn't, like, the milk doesn't taste any different than regular milk. So how could why the eggnog would taste so much different? I don't know, but it was horrible. This year, she and I happened to be at the store together. I want to say it was like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we noticed that they had just started stocking eggnog, and they had one of the big brands. I don't remember which brand it is, but they had the almond milk eggnog.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, fuck, okay, let's try this one. It was even worse than there was literally nothing about this stuff that even tasted remotely like eggnog. I was like, how can they call this eggnog? It tasted like if a demon pissed into your mouth and then put burnt hair in there. That's what it tasted like. And we both took a sip out of this one glass, and we poured the whole fucking thing down it was horrible.
Okay.
I don't know what that was all about. So we have just gone back to regular, we're just like, fuck it. We'll just fucking shit our pants all day because it's eggnog and it's worth it.
So I made my own, as you're aware from my post on Facebook, and I will tell you quickly the impetus behind making my own is that my sister and I both love eggnog. My parents, neither one of my parents like eggnog. Well, my dad's dead, so he doesn't like anything anymore. But when he was alive, he didn't like eggnog.
I can't even laugh at that, dude, because my dad is also gone, and it's just so wrong. I approve, though.
I mean, dark humor, right? Dark humor.
Yeah.
But my dad didn't like eggnog when he was alive. I presume now that he's dead, he still doesn't.
I doubt he's found a taste for it.
Right.
You know what? I wish I had liked this shit when I was around. Yeah, I doubt that happened.
My mom does not like eggnog. So my sister and I, we have no idea. We do not remember where we ever tried eggnog in the first place to develop a taste for it. But anyway, we both like it. My sister is very, very picky about eggnog, though. She would only drink Dean's eggnog.
That is one of the top.
Dean's no longer exists.
I know.
So
but that was one of the tops for a long time.
Yeah. So, and I'm less picky. Like I've had some that I don't like, but there's some that I will grab and they're fine. But anyway,
do you have a space shuttle landing right now, on top of your house?
There was an airplane going over. That might have been it.
It literally sounded like the space shuttle Challenger was crashing into.
That's funny. So anyway, I was like, I'm gonna try and make my own. And I did. And I took it over to my sister's place yesterday when I went to visit the nieces and nephews, and she enjoyed it. So my goal my goal was met. That's that's literally all I was trying to do was make eggnog that she would find palatable.
So
for
you're
her.
telling us, you're announcing here live on the show in front of millions and millions of viewers and listeners that you are going into the eggnog business.
I'm going into the eggnog business.
Right on, right on.
Would
Would you mind sending me your recipe?
Sure.
Was it good and thick?
It wasn't. It had a decent thickness to it, but it wasn't overly thick.
Okay.
Like
I like the Dean's because it had the perfect amount of thickness, like my dick. And it was no, seriously, it was Dean's was like fucking off the chart. They had everything down to a science because they'd been making it for like 6,000 years. But I'll tell you, tell your sister, because I'm also picky about my nog. Tell her I have found one that I really enjoy is the Southern Comfort nog. It's not alcoholic.
Right.
But yeah, it's not as good as Dean's, but from all the ones I've tried, it seems to be the closest, and it's got that perfect nog flavor. You know what I'm saying? Like heaven jizzed in your mouth.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you the recipe that I used. It was quite good. And honestly, it's so easy to make. I don't think I will go back to buying store-bought, honestly.
What kind of milk did you use?
I used whole milk.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Like you would need a whole milk. It seems like I could probably experiment and you could use like a heavy cream, but then kind of figure out a way to maybe use some skim milk to water it down just a hair.
Right.
Because there's going to be a perfect way to get that thick brick,
Right. Well, the recipe I have called for whole milk and heavy whipping cream. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
All right.
But yeah, I'll send it to you and you can try it out. But yeah, I made more today because, like I said, I took the first batch I made over to her place and.
How much does your recipe make at a time?
6 to 7 cups.
Okay, that's not nearly enough because I'll drink that a day.
Right. I mean, but easy enough to double or triple or whatever, as long as you have.
I need at least a 5-gallon bucket.
As long as you have something to store it in.
Yeah, I'll store it in my ass.
But also keep in mind, unless the recipe I'll send you doesn't require you to cook it. Like some recipes require you to cook it on the stovetop.
Yeah.
Right. So the recipe I'm gonna send you doesn't require it. It does have like separate, like if you want to cook it, instructions you can. So if you don't cook it, it does only have like a certain amount of fridge life.
Yeah, you probably should cook it just because of the egg and
right.
And you're running the chance of like, I don't know, fucking scurvy or something.
Right.
But
honestly, like I'm like you. Like if I make a 6 to 7 cup batch, it's not lasting 2 days.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because
like
I'm brushing teeth with that shit. I'm drinking it. I'm sleeping in it. Yeah.
I'm bathing in it.
Yeah.
I'm using it as lube.
It's going all over my face, neck, and chest.
Yeah. Definitely. So anyway, as previously stated, we will be revisiting Angel Season 1, Episode 7, our 7th episode of the series overall, The Bachelor Party. Our episode director this week is Davis Stratton, and our episode credited writer is Tracy Stern. Our original air date was November 16th, 1999 on the now-defunct WB network. Our Nielsen ratings for this episode were 3.2 million households when it originally aired, ranking it 98th out of the 139 network primetime shows airing for the week and 5th out of the 15th primetime shows airing on the WB for the week.
They took a hit, dude, after after because last week's episode was such hot fucking trash. A lot of people were like, "Man, this show's fucking
no, we're done. We're done.
We're done. Fuck Angel."
Our regular cast, as always, includes David Boreanaz as Angel, Charisma Carpenter as Cordelia, and Glenn Quinn as Doyle. Our guest cast this week includes, deep breath, Kristen Diatello as Harriet, Carlos Jacob as Richard, making his second appearance in the Buffyverse, but as a different character. You might recognize him as having played Ken in Anne, our season 3 premiere of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Creepy.
Well,
he was a demon in that one.
He was a demon, yeah.
But he was also like the creepy
youth pastor type.
Yeah.
Ted Karras is Ben. Chris Tallman is Nick. Braid Blasdell is Uncle John. Robert Hillis is Pierce. Laurie Johnson is Aunt Martha. Kristen Lohman is Mother Rachel. David Paulson as Russ. And William Wayne as Brother Straley. Our episode synopsis this week reads, when Doyle's estranged wife comes to town asking for a divorce, Angel agrees to follow her husband-to-be to learn more about him.
Okay.
Yeah, that one wasn't...
Not really, but okay.
No, that one's pretty good. Come on, you gotta give credit where credit is due. That one's not too bad.
I think mine's better.
You usually do.
Doyle receives chlamydia after going on a date. All right, seriously. Doyle receives a surprise visit from his wife, who wishes to end their marriage so that she may wed a demon.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
they both work. They
do. Mine's kind of like in your face, like, well, here's the whole episode. You don't need to watch it.
Right. Mine's a little more subtle with it.
Yeah, yours is a little more subtle.
Subtle. Yeah, that's French for
right.
For
we're going to pronounce everything phonetically from now on.
Yes, subtle is French for non-evasive.
Right. Why don't you take us into the cold open there, James?
We open on Doyle attempting to get Angel to put down his book and what?
Doyle attempting to get Angel pregnant? Is that what you said?
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? So little behind the scenes for everybody. My computer is a complete shit show right now. And I literally couldn't open, literally the only thing I can open right now is Skype to record this. So I've got my notes open on my tablet. So that's why I'm looking away. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my tablet right up here so that I'm don't appear to be looking too far away. I'm going to cover Jeremy's face though, so then I don't have to see that at least.
Wow. What a fucking
if I had covered your face, I wouldn't have been able to see that you just flicked me off. So now you know I was kidding.
Anybody would not want to look at this. Come on.
I know. What a putnam.
Come on.
Yeah, so we open on Doyle attempting to get Angel to put down his book and go out to a sports bar that's doing some online trivia. But he gets sidetracked when Cordelia shows up wearing quite the evening wear, looking straight fire. Sometimes it's very easy to see why her parents named her Charisma.
Yeah, well, is it?
Wow. So Cordelia has apparently arranged to meet her date Pierce here at Angel's office, and she lists Pierce's many attractive qualities, and of course all of them appear to be material in nature. Pierce eventually shows up, and Angel basically interrogates this poor bastard until Cordelia manages to drag him away. What, you're gonna say something?
I just, I might as well bring it up now. I don't want to have to come back to it, but why would she meet her date here at Angel Investigations headquarters?
Because
It's a super dope apartment.
because it's the only way the writers could figure out how to make this scene happen.
I guess, because it's like, so you're telling me she got all dressed up, got in her car, drove over to Angel Investigations, and was like, "Yo, I'm just meeting my date here."
Right.
And they're like, "Okay."
Listen,
She's like, "Listen, if it goes well and we decide to have sex, I'm going to use your bed, Angel. Is that cool?"
Listen, Angel going all like protective big brother and giving this guy like basically interrogating this guy was so amusing to me. I'm willing to overlook the fact that like why would she even meet this dude here? It makes no sense.
Well, yeah, even though the interrogation and things, as we will soon discover, were completely unnecessary.
Well, yeah, but it was literally just for fun, like just to have like a funny kind of lighthearted, little thing.
I didn't have any fun.
Wow. It's because you don't have a sense of humor.
No, I have no heart. I'm dead on the
side. So Doyle is, of course, feeling a little hopeless, concerning his own situation with Cordelia, and he sits down and starts leafing through Angel's book, and a photo falls out from between the pages, and Doyle picks it up.
It's a dick pic. It's an old school dick pic.
Yeah. And Doyle picks it up and, whistles, approvingly. And
he's like, nice dick.
And he's like, woohoo, he's like, woohoo, he's like, that right there is a nice cock. Well, that was Scottish. That was Scottish. That was Scottish.
I crush you like a worm.
That was Scottish. I don't. But that says a lot about me that it was so easy for me to slip into a Scottish accent.
Almost as easy as it is for you to slip into an evening gown. I'm not lying.
So yeah, Doyle, he's like, he whistles approvingly and and he
you've broken me with this Scottish thing.
Oh my god. Like, and in my head, like I've got the.
You're nailing that Irish accent.
The Irish accent, but like when I go to do it, I know it's gonna come out Scottish, and I don't know. I'm like,
yep.
So anyway, and he asks Angel if it's an old squeeze who date a guy with an Irish accent, and who's the picture of Jeremy? I mean, I think we all know, but we might as well. Who is it?
It says Dick. No, it's Buffy.
It's Buffy. And Doyle immediately, like, he sees the look on Angel's face, and Doyle's immediately like, sorry. Oh, it's Buffy.
Shut the fuck up before I get beat.
Yeah. He's like, oh, this is Buffy, I'm sorry, yada, yada. And at that moment, he has one of his visions, and he sees a guy captured by vampires downtown. And he comes out of the vision and gives Angel the 411, and they get ready to skedaddle out of there. And Doyle says, what does he say? Looks like everyone's got dinner plans but us. Something like that.
Yeah.
And that is our cold open.
And then it's like, and meanwhile, we come back and we're at an upscale restaurant, and Cordelia is bored out of her fucking mind because Pierce is talking. By the way, Pierce trades and futures and whatnot. He's a stock market nerd.
Yeah.
And he's talking about pork bellies and fucking soybeans and all this bullshit. And Cordelia looks like she's actually eyeing her wine glass, contemplating breaking it and slitting her own wrists to escape
Wow.
this situation.
Wow.
And all she can really wonder is she's just wondering what Angel and Doyle are up to. And we cut to them, and they're in fact in the midst of a giant fracas. And they're at this vampire nest, and they're just doing what they do. I noticed in this scene, dude, it cracked me up for some reason. When we cut to them, you'll see, like, the first shot, you see like Angel like elbow one of the vampires, and then he kicks this other guy out. And then there's a female vampire, and he turns to her, and he just fucking just gets her like a dude, man. I mean, just fucking houses her. And it, for some reason, I was like, I don't really think that's something we would see in today's television. Not from a guy,
I literally thought the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
like you're right. Like, he just turns around and fucking lays her out.
Lays her the fuck out. Like,
and I
like
was
a
like,
man.
I was like, I feel kind of uncomfortable.
Right. Although I will say, about 20 seconds later, she's back, and she actually starts fucking kicking his ass.
Yeah.
She's kicking him, and she's like kicked him in the chest and kicks him through a doorway up into a wall and shit. And then what's he do? He houses her again. And I was like, wow, we're really doubling down on women beating this week. But long story short, they get everybody. At one point, one of the vamps kind of knocks Doyle down, and it makes Doyle go demon mode, and but he shakes it off and goes back human. And the vampire picks up a giant beer keg, and he's about to smash it down on, finish off Doyle, when Angel saves the day and stakes him from behind. And then they're helping the guy out of there, and Angel's like, you're stronger when you're a demon. Why do you shake it off? Why not go fucking, demon mode and fucking actually be helpful, you fucking cunt. And Doyle's like, and his reasoning is just, he doesn't really have any, he's just like, oh, it's just not my style. And Angel should be like, I don't give a fuck what your style is. I need somebody here who can actually fucking fight.
Right. Angel's like, yeah, and I don't particularly like being a vampire either, but I use it to my fucking advantage, you Mick prick.
Right. And he's like, listen, Cordelia's more help than you are. Like, when we go into you always are getting fucked up. Use your spike face, stupid. Anyway. So as they leave, we see this one vamp, apparently, who survived this, peers from around a corner and spies, and we see Angel go off one way with this guy to like take him home, and Doyle apparently heads off back to On Hell investigations, and unaware.
Yeah, because it's like, well, just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, like their conversation, like Angel basically tells Doyle, like, just go back to the fucking office. You're useless.
Yeah, because he's like, you want me to go with you? And he's like, no, I can handle it. I mean, what do I need you for? You're just going to get beat up.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, see this guy, this human that's half dead that I'm carrying home. Yeah, he would be more help than you are. So go have a shot, you fucking drunk. And so Doyle's actually getting followed back to the office, and at that same time, Cordy and her date Pierce Brosnan, pull up.
007 himself.
Right.
Best 007, Jeremy, go.
Best 007, Sean Connery.
Okay. I had a feeling you were going to go that route.
I mean, only because he's the original.
I that's exactly why I thought you were going to go that route.
Yeah, it's, me, dude. You know me.
Right.
You know well enough. Where were they? Oh yeah, so they pull up, and she's obviously given him a line already, because he's like, "Wow, I'm really sorry you're not feeling well," and She's like, yeah, me too. So you can just let me off here. And he's like, don't you want me to drive you home? And she's like, no, my car's here. Just fuck off. And he's like, oh, let me walk you to the car, though, because I'm not real sure about this neighborhood. And that's when the vamp says, yeah, because it's real bad. Ah! And what does Pierce
maybe
do?
maybe this is why she had Pierce meet her at Angel Investigations, so that she'd have like an excuse to, like if things weren't going well, to, not.
And then he wouldn't know where she lived, so he couldn't stalk her.
Exactly.
All right. Because Pierce immediately becomes a giant labia and screams like a little church girl, and just literally just leaves Cordy. Been grabbed by the vamp. He runs, jumps back in his car, and he's gone.
He is gone.
And the vamp has got Cordy, and he's about to take a bite out of her. Oh, I'd like to myself. But Doyle pops out the front door with the crossbow, and he's all hero boy, and he ends up shooting the vamp in the foot to get him to let Cordy go, and then it attacks him, and he reaches out. He's able to get the arrow, spins around, kata, and he does Bruce Lee, and dusts the vamp. And Cordy's nipples immediately get hard because she's like, "Oh my god!"
And you can hear the sploosh.
Wow, you took it to another level. But yeah, but seriously, she is like, impressed, and she's kind of seeing him differently than she has before. And she's impressed and she's grateful, which is, that means something when you're talking about Cordelia.
Right.
James, quickly, best James Bond.
I really liked the Daniel Craig movies.
Ooh,
but wow. I am partial to Pierce Brosnan.
Oof.
So sorry.
Wow. Really sorry I even asked.
I mean, I would go.
Everybody has their opinions, even when they're wrong.
I would probably go Pierce, Timothy, Daniel.
Are you Timothy Dalton? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, you do realize that he's like the most hated James Bond ever.
No, he's not.
Don't say Roger Moore.
Nope. That distinction falls to Mr. George Lazenby.
Yeah, but that was one fucking movie.
I'm just saying.
Look it up. Like, Dalton is pretty resoundingly hated, which I don't understand, because I like Dalton.
Yeah, I mean, those are pretty fire Bond movies. I think the reason so for me it's Brosnan first, because that's his movies were kind of when I really like got into James Bond.
Really?
Right. Like, I mean, I had seen like Connery and Moore and stuff before that, but the Brosnan ones were where I was really like old enough to be like, all right, like I like this shit. So I think that's why Pierce leads the pack for me. And then it's Dalton and Craig, because I like that their movies were more grounded, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, the farther you go back, the more silly they are, but
right.
That's kind of always the fun for me.
And then after Craig, I would go Connery more than Lazenby.
Yeah, I don't Brosnan's probably last for me, only because, wow, we are so far off in the weed. Okay, really quickly. Brosnan is probably last for me for the same reason that I never got into Tom Cruise as an action star, because it's just not believable to me. Like, I see Tom Cruise, he's like 5'7", he's like $150 soaking wet, but he's all these movies, he's just like Billy fucking badass, and I'm like, dude, he couldn't eat one. He couldn't eat one real punch.
Right.
Like, he would be melted into the floor. Anyway, yeah, and and I'm not saying Brosnan looks like a bitch or anything. I'm just saying he didn't, of all the James Bonds before him, he just didn't seem like hero-y to me. You know what I mean?
Right, right. I will say too, I think part of Brosnan's appeal as a number one Bond for me is that I watched Remington Steele
Oh yeah, yeah.
growing up with
My mom that.
with Stephanie Zimbalist and he, so I was already like a fan of Brosnan, you
Yeah,
know.
a lot of middle-aged women watch that show, James.
Yeah, I know. I watched it with my mom.
Yeah. Okay. You should delete that, really. Because if anyone finds out about this, I fear for you.
I'm not ashamed of it.
I'm
not ashamed of it at all.
I'm just breaking the fucking balls over here.
Speaking of 80s television shows, God, we are so far off in the weeds. Do you remember? Huh?
Oh, I guess you're not going to say that.
What?
Did you see that the Fall Guy is becoming a thing?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It is what you were going to, yeah.
I was going to say, do you remember the Fall Guy?
The one and only Jim Bonds, where he came from. Yeah, they're gonna redo that, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
really? Why?
I saw the trailer the other day.
We're gonna make it a feature movie. Really? Like, it really wasn't that good. Let's be honest, it really wasn't that good of a show.
No,
like,
like
the whole idea is just kind of really.
Right.
Like,
it was perfectly 80s. I mean, honestly.
To me, though, this is a perfect fucking like example of Hollywood is so creatively fucking bankrupt.
Yeah.
Like, when we're at the point that we're going to turn the Fall Guy into a feature-length movie, like, what, why?
Right. But I mean, if, as cheesy and as ridiculous as the concept was, it was one of the biggest shows of the 80s.
Yeah, for like 2 seasons.
Well,
and it like quickly went down the toilet. I mean, I just don't understand why everything has to now be either a reboot or like an offshoot of something. You know what I mean? Like, it's like no one anymore is like, we're out of ideas.
Right.
We've literally used all the ideas in the universe. So now we're just going to rehash and what's with this Snow White thing with no dwarves? It's Snow White and the no dwarves.
No, there's dwarves in it. They just didn't. So there's uproar because they didn't cast.
I've seen pictures, like,
yeah,
whatever they're called. I don't know if it's actual production stills or if it's behind the scene. I don't know what they're from, but I was like, this kind of looks stupid, to be honest. Like, it's supposed to be. Okay, first of all, do we need to make a live action Snow White at all? Is there really any call for that? Is that really a thing that's like I know how we're gonna make some serious cash this year?
I mean, yeah. I mean, from that perspective, as long as as long as Disney cranks out a live action version of an animated classic and it makes them money, they're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, but some of these, like the what was it? What's that show called? The Little Mermaid. That didn't fucking go over well. That lost money.
I mean, I don't know. I would have to look into it, but I would have to imagine that if these movies were losing that much money, then they wouldn't keep doing them.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know, man, because Disney's got that guy back in charge now.
Bob Iger.
Yeah, Bob Iger, who had I really question Bob Iger's mental acuity. First of all, he's a known vampire, so he's like 111 years old. And I really, truly feel like he's lost. Don't get me started on what the fuck they're doing with Star Wars, because I will punch a small fucking child because he can't hurt me. So anyway, let's get out of the fucking weeds again. Oh God, where did I leave off? So yeah, the next day, Cordy's talking with Angel about her her evolving attitude towards men, and she's decided that maybe Doyle isn't useless after all. Maybe he has some potential. And at least he deserves to be treated to a mochaccino as a thank you for saving her life. So she's like, see you in a half hour, watch the phones. And Angel, God, I hate her as an employee. So Cordy goes out to the outer office and Doyle's out there, and she's just about to say, hey, let's go get a cappuccino or a mochaccino, maybe a BJ, I don't know. She's just about to go there when this woman walks into Angel Investigations, and she's all like, yeah, hey, we're open, but we're in the middle of something, so could you fuck off? I found that kind of funny. And Doyle's like, Harriet? And she's like, Francis? And he's like, who the fuck is Francis?
Right, Cordy's reaction was the same as mine. I'm like, who the fuck is Francis? What?
Francis? And he's like, that's me. And she's like, never mind, not interested anymore.
Right.
Anybody named Francis, sorry.
Right. She was like, you were probably going to get a handy in the car on the way to get a mochaccino, but not
anymore.
Now.
Francis.
Not anymore, Francis.
And who is it? It's Francis's wife.
Francis's wife. I just want to backtrack momentarily.
No, we don't have time.
Angel. When Cordy and Angel are talking in Angel's office.
Oh yeah.
Angel, the best way I can describe it is he kind of has like a proud father moment, like when he tells Cordelia, he's like, well, maybe you're just, changing and growing as a person. Like, he's just kind of got like this proud, like older brother / dad, like smile on his face.
Yeah. Yeah. So you interrupted me just for that.
Oh my God. That's the whole point of the fucking podcast, to talk about the fucking episode.
What episode? We're talking about an episode? No, anyway.
But we talked about James Bond and Bob Iger for so fucking long. We don't even know what we're doing here anymore.
Where am I at? What day is this, James? Who are you, by the way? Why are you in this magical box? Where did I leave off? Okay, yeah. So then Angel comes in, and he's kind of getting filled in on the situation, and this creepy guy sticks his head in the door, and Harriet's like, weren't you gonna wait in the car? And he's like, yes, but I'm an incredibly obnoxious asshole. Like, okay, come in. And this is Richard. Good name. This is Dick.
He's kind of a dick.
And he's enthusiastically shaking Angel's hand, and he's all like, oh yeah, you're I get it now. You're a very handsome man, and blah blah blah. And he's like, I'm not Doyle, that's Doyle. And then he's like, oh phew, that's better. And I was like, wow, I would have thrown him the fuck out immediately. So then he mentions wedding. And at that point, it all comes out that Harriet and he are going to wed in approximately a week. And everybody kind of fucks off and leaves Harriet and Francis there to talk. And she has come with some papers, divorce papers that she needs Francis to sign so that they can be divorced, so that she can, within mere days, turn around and remarry.
Yes.
So she's a bed hopper.
Wow.
Thus making her what, James?
A whore.
A so he's like, yeah, I should let my people go over this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, well, I'll be back in a few days. You better sign the fucking papers, bitch. And he's like, I will. And so later on, they're down in Angel's actual living quarters, the dopest apartment ever.
Is the dopest of dope-ass apartments.
Right. Dude, one of the things I love about it?
Hold on. before you go on, doper apartment. Angel's apartment on Buffy, Angel's apartment on Angel.
Oh, Angel's apartment on Angel.
Okay.
No, I mean it's not even
Okay.
literally.
But I mean, his apartment on Buffy was pretty dope.
You talking about the underground?
Yeah.
Yeah, but my problem with that was that it was clearly. It was like if you watch one of those YouTube videos of people who like find these like places and they like turn it into like a little. It's like illegal.
Oh yeah. 100%.
It's like, yeah, I don't think that's really cool. That's really a good idea to have all your shit there, No, this one's dope. And one of the things I love about it the most is there's not a single motherfucking window down there. Like you could sleep in the middle of the day and it would be pitch ass fucking black dark down there. And that'd be some good sleeping. Anyway.
Doper apartment, Angels on Angel. Duncan MacLeod.
I still gotta go Angel, man. I still gotta go Angel because there's too many windows in Mac's loft.
Okay.
Plus, I don't know what I would do. I'm imagining I could have one of these two places. And so if I had Mac's place, what the fuck am I gonna do with down? I'm not gonna fucking have a dojo down there. What am I gonna do? Karate and shit? What the fuck, So what am I gonna do with all that space down there? Maybe I could, I don't know, ride some roller skates around down there. I don't know. I'm not gonna have a fucking dojo.
You wouldn't rent it out to another business, to an actual business?
Well, the problem with that is the elevator access. I would have to walk through this business every time I wanted to use my goddamn elevator.
Yeah, that's true.
That would unless you put like a wall that's just as wide as the elevator itself, straight all the way down, and make that like a private deal, and then the business would have the rest of the space.
So, God, we are. You know what? No, never mind. Just keep going with the fucking episode. We are so far off. I can't do this.
Okay,
I can't do this.
All right, so oh shit, I can't see now because my eyes are watering.
So we cut to later, and they're down in Angel's dope ass apartment, and Angel has poured a couple shots of scotch, and Doyle is explaining to him that his demon side, which he inherited from his father, who he's never met and didn't know, didn't manifest until he hit his 21st birthday. And at that point, he and Harry were already married. And he says that she eventually left him because he wasn't the man that she married anymore. And he speculates to Angel that the real story, or he speculates that there's something else going on behind Richard's friendly, appearance. And Doyle takes Angel's shot from him and drinks it, and asks him to, keep an eye out on Harriet and Richard. Though Angel ends up following Richard and spots him making some sort of secret exchange, and then going to a steakhouse, Straley's Steakhouse, with the package that he procured from someone in this car. And we cut to inside the restaurant's kitchen, and we see Richard hiding the package in the refrigerator. And then Harriet arrives, and she's got stacks of boxes tied together. And Richard goes into the storage area and grabs a bottle of wine, and also picks up a big old knife, and he morphs into a demon. So Richard is also a demon, apparently. And as Richard is approaching Harriet from behind with the knife, Angel comes crashing through a big old plate glass window and tackles Richard to the ground, punching him, and before he realizes that Richard's not fighting back and that Harriet is yelling at Angel to stop.
By the way,
yeah,
am I wrong or am I right? We know I'm always right, but
you're wrong. In Angel's confusion, he
no. So I believe we completely move away from the fact in this show, and I believe in Buffy also, that demons can morph back and forth between like a human look and their regular look. Like we get away from that pretty quick, and it's just you just always look like the demon.
I know what you're saying and I get what you're saying, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case, or if we just start to see more demons that either aren't capable of morphing between human and demon appearance, or if they just choose to always be in demon appearance.
True.
So,
okay.
I mean, that's my take on it.
All right. Well, it's okay to be wrong. For me, I mean, I just something
I mean, you're right, but I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if it's something that we deliberately stray away from, or if it's just something that,
See, I always felt like that was something that they should have stayed with, so that it would have made more sense. Like, we see too many demons as this show goes along, and in Buffy, that just roam around every day looking like themselves, and it it's a little bit jarring, and it a little bit kind of pulls you out of it. And I think it would be better if they were able to look like a normal human and then morph into that way they could be out and about.
Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying, especially when you're in a scenario like both of these shows where like the demon world is supposed to be like this, huge secret thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I just don't care.
Okay. That's fine. I don't really either. I'm just saying words to make the time go more for the episode. But anyway, have you ever thought about fucking yourself with a cactus or possibly a shoe?
Wow.
I'll take over from here because you're boring. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Much to Angel's confusion, it seems that Harriet knows all about Richard being a demon, and she's okay with it. And we find out that Harriet has obtained a degree in ethnodemonology. And we find out that Richard is a benevolent demon. The knife was just for the twine and ribbons on the box.
Yeah, he had to find the longest, curved, sharpest, most
butcher
knife to cut these tiny little strings that you could probably just cut with your nipple, but he had a fucking katana. Blue-handled
katana. And that the box he hid away in the refrigerator was actually a illegal food item that they serve at the restaurant there, which is his family's restaurant.
It's baby penises, isn't it?
I do not believe it is. I do not believe it is. Harriet goes on to explain that while she did freak out initially, she was quickly able to adjust to the idea of Doyle's demon heritage quicker than Doyle did, in fact, and that when she encouraged him to explore that side of himself, he refused. And she tells Angel that that Doyle just shut down and withdrew and pretty much became a bitch to live with.
Or just a bitch in general.
And we cut back to Angel Investigations, and what's going on there, Jeremy?
Massive fire. No.
Not yet. Not yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet. No.
Spoiler.
Doyle's ranting about the type of demon Richard is, and yada yada, and the rituals that they must be dangerous. But Angel's read about how these types of demons gave up all the rituals and now they just own a chain of restaurants. And it would have been funnier if it was like just like fast food, just like a chain of like fast
Jollibees.
Yeah, and they're just like, yeah, I don't know. It would have been funny, and they're all like wearing paper hats when you go in there. But
what is? Oh shit! What is the fast food chain that Buffy ends up getting a job at?
Oh fuck! Yeah, I don't know. Is it a real one or it's one they made up?
No, I'm pretty sure it's just made up for the show. But that would have been funny as hell.
Yeah, like they own those. Yeah. But anyway, so Doyle kind of finally accepts that it wasn't like his demon half that drove Harry away. It was his own flaws and his own personality and yada yada. So he breaks out the divorce papers and he goes ahead and signs them, and then we kind of fade into him handing them to Harry. And she's like, "Fuck, about time. We're getting married in like 2 days, dick." And then she punches him and leaves. No.
She punches him right in the dick.
Yeah, and in the throat. He can't breathe, and his dick is killing him.
Right. And it's weird because she does it like simultaneously. It's not like she dick punches and then throat punches. She's like
he's like
yeah.
So she goes off to make photocopies in the other room with Cordelia's help, and Dick takes the opportunity to invite Doyle to his bachelor party. Who on what planet would a person be like, yeah, I'll go to your bachelor party. You're marrying my ex, and yeah, sounds like a good time. But yeah, Doyle agrees for some fucked up reason, and Cordy agrees to go to the bachelorette party with numbnuts in there, and she's all like, yeah, Richard's family, they're so sweet and they're really into good vibes. You're the only woman I know in town that's under 300, so would you go? So he's like, yeah, I don't have anything else to do in this episode, so yeah, I'll go with you. And then we cut to the family home of these fucking people, and they're sitting at the dinner table eating and passing around a bucket of KFC. And they're finalizing plans for Dick's bachelor party and, stripper and all this bullshit. And then Uncle Dildo, I don't remember his name, says at some point, like he's listing off the order that the activities are going to go in. And then he's like, and then the ritual eating of the ex-husband's brains. And we cut to a break, and it's like, yeah, I knew fucking something, like it wasn't hidden very well. I knew something fucking creepy was going to happen. So apparently they've invited Doyle to eat his brains.
Right. I mean, just like you said earlier, like just the fact that he invited Doyle to his bachelor party was kind of like right away. You're like, oh, okay, like this, something's off here, because who the fuck does something like that?
Yeah, and who does it, and then who accepts? Right?
It's that like, too.
It's almost like he was like, I could see a world where he was just inviting him to be nice, and assuming he would say no, and then he says yes. He's like, seriously? Okay, I guess. See you at 7, freak. Anyway, they show up to the bachelor party, and Doyle's got Angel in tow. And everybody seems a little miffed by that. And Dick begins softening Doyle up, hoping to eventually get his blessing. Because he says he's got to have the blessing, or the wedding can't happen, or just won't happen. And then we cut to Cordy with Harry, and she's kind of filling in Cordy on Doyle.
Yeah, she is.
And hey, now, why didn't I see that? So she's come to find out Doyle was a 3rd grade teacher. Also volunteered in a soup kitchen. And what was the other big revelation?
I don't
Some other like super good cool thing.
Yeah.
And Cordy's just like, the fuck? Is this the same Doyle? And
yeah.
So she's like, the Doyle I know, just that's not him. And anyway, then one of the old hags in the living room's like, come on, girls, it's time to play pornographic Pictionary. And I was like, isn't all Pictionary pornographic? Don't you always draw dicks when you're playing that game?
I do, regardless of what the answer is. I just draw dicks.
Right, or the goatsy meme.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we cut back to the bachelor party, and Angel has been watching.
It's like whenever I play charades, I'm just always like,
you're like, one word, fucking. Anyway, we're canceled.
Or
scissoring. We would be good in that game.
We would be good in that game.
Angel had been watching Dick's brothers, and they'd been acting kind of shady and shifty. So they go off through this one door, and Angel doesn't say a fucking thing to Doyle. He just fucks off and goes and follows these two. And when he gets in there, well, he overhears, he sees Uncle Dildo, whatever his name was, performing this ritual. He's cut his hand, and he's bleeding under these black fucking Spencer Gifts candles, and he's chanting this Latin shit. And so Angel, he's like, what should I do? I got it. I'm gonna call Doyle's ex-wife at her bachelorette party and ask her what this Latin phrase means. Listen, I'm 400, okay? But I don't know what Latin, I don't know what those words are, so I'm going to call this chick, which is what he does. And she's like, I guess I'll look into it. This is weird. And at that point, he hangs up the phone, he turns around, he runs into one of Dick's brothers. And like 4 or 5 of them just start a fight with him, and they just beat the shit out of him, and they throw him out a window, and he falls like 2 or 3 stories down onto a trash can, like a dumpster, and then onto the ground. And so Angel is K the fuck O'd.
He's dead. He's dead.
He's dead.
This is the end of the show.
As we know, for some reason in this universe, everything kills a vampire.
Everything.
You get
kills
shot,
a vampire.
You're fucking dead.
Dead.
You'll bleed the fuck out. You're fucking dead.
Fucking dead. Fucking dead.
No point in being an immortal in this show, because it doesn't really count.
Doesn't matter. You're dead.
You die from everything. In fact, you die easier than a mortal does.
Mm-hmm.
So after the stripper finishes her stripping, which never mind, I won't even bring it up, but I think you know what I was going to say. Like, did they just find a lady on the street and they're like, hey, $50, will you be the stripper for this scene? And she's like, yeah, okay. Anyway, she leaves.
Honestly, it was probably like a production assistant or something.
It was probably Joss Whedon's girlfriend, because he's fucking weird.
No, he was married at the time
to his girlfriend. So
I guess from what we know about Joss Whedon, it doesn't necessarily rule out the idea that it might have been his girlfriend.
Right. Although she was far too old. I mean, she was over 13, so I don't know that it could have been his girlfriend. So the dancer leaves and Dickie rejoins Doyle at the bar, and he's like, so have you given any thought to giving me your blessing? And Doyle's like, yeah, fuck it. You have my blessing, you know, make her happy. I didn't, I should have, but maybe you can. And Dick's like, yeah, sweet. And he's like, hey, everybody, Doyle gave me his blessing. And they're all like, yeah. And they all, you know, crowd around Doyle, and they pull him into this thing, and all of a sudden they put him in this box that closes around his neck, and it's just his head poking out. Looks like some kind of weird fucking magician's thing. I'm waiting for like one of those weird, like fucking child's fucking birthday party magician with a little weird goatee to pop out and be like, nah, see? But, so Uncle John like pokes him in the fucking head. He's like, what the fuck? And he's like, my head's going numb. And
he pokes him with a needle.
Well, yeah, his needle dick. And and Doyle's like, or I'm sorry, Dick is like, well, yeah, I would certainly hope not. We wouldn't want you to be in any pain when we cut into your skull. And Doyle's like, and long story, they draw a dotted line across his forehead, and long story short, they're going to eat his fucking brains. They're going to cut his head open, and listen, this is their plan. We're going to cut your flesh with, okay, not a big deal, with this knife. Then we're going to use this same knife to saw through your fucking skull.
Well, now wait, you don't know that.
They handed him the ritualistic knife.
Okay, but that's just to, you know, cut the scalp off. You don't know what they're going to use to cut through the skull.
Clearly
you're being presumptuous, and I don't like it.
Did you see a fucking chainsaw anywhere around?
No.
Well, then they're going to use the fucking knife.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Maybe Uncle Dildo's going to use his needle dick. So meanwhile, Harry and Cordy discover the translation of this Latin shit that Uncle Dildo was saying was something about it was purifying the ceremonial knife, and something about ingesting past love, and they put it together, and they're like, oh fuck, they're gonna eat Doyle. And they go in there to ask the old women like what the fuck is kind of up, kind of thing, and one of the old hags is like, well, they're certainly not going to eat your ex-husband's brains. And they're like, oh, so they're going to eat his brains, and they fucking fuck off. And so yeah, the old lady gave up the gag.
Way to give up the ghost, Granny.
Yeah, you fucking dumb bitch. Oh.
Or Auntie. Sorry, that was Aunt Martha that said that.
Oh. Out in the alley, Angel regains consciousness and vamps out because he is now fucking pissed.
Fucking pissed.
Fucking pissed, dude. Just as Dick is about to cut into Doyle's fucking head, Angel literally destroys the door and the door frame. And this is the shot we see in the opening credits.
You and I talked about this. I don't remember when it was, but I remember like you and I.
It was before we recorded the extravaganza episode.
Oh, right, because we had watched the episodes way back then. And I remember I told you, like, it's a cool shot, like it's a great like hero shot. That's why it's in the fucking credits. But I was watching the episode and it happened, and I started laughing, and I said to myself out loud, I was like, so dramatic for what?
Yeah, for a bunch of goobers trying to saw through a guy's head with a fucking knife. Like you probably could have went another 20 minutes. I mean, they were not going to be through the skull by then. Trust me. Worst case, he would have had a scar and some bleeding. Anyway, and Angel's like, party's over. And his brother, Dick's brother's like, you brought a vampire to my brother's bachelor? I'd be like, you're all fucking demons. Like, what, you know, you're shocked that I brought another demon to your demon party? You know what I'm saying? It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Here's the thing, like you say that, and it's funny because like I kind of thought the same thing when they said that, but then I was like, like, it's never been outright stated, but it's kind of like the whole, like, it's obvious the Watcher Council hated Giles thing.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, and again, it's never been outright stated up to this point, and I don't know that it ever is, but, like, I think it's fairly obvious that in the quote-unquote demon hierarchy, vampires are, like demons, like, scum. Like,
yeah.
Other demons look down on vampires.
Yeah, like they're
the way conservatives look down on, you know, thinking.
right. The way most Americans look down on like Chicagoans.
Wow. Wow. You had to make it personal. You had to make it personal. I don't. You're not even a conservative. I don't know why you're upset.
Oh shit. So then of course this huge fucking fracas breaks out and there's just fighting everywhere and it's pretty cool actually. There's so much shit going on screen, you know. And at one point fucking Doyle finally, you know, demons out and runs and dives into the middle of the shit. And there's this great part where he fucking headbutts this dude. And you know, Doyle's demon shit, he's got these spikes all over his fucking fist. So I was like, oh goddamn.
That's like, gotta hurt. That's
wow,
gotta hurt.
You escalated there, Doyle, because like that guy doesn't have any eyes left now. So that's when Harry and Cordy get to the restaurant and they come in and she's like, you fucking stop this shit right now. And everybody stops and she confronts Dick about his intentions to eat fucking Doyle's brains and he admits it and he's like, we're just trying to follow the old ways. And she's like, motherfucker. She looks at Uncle Dildo and she's like, bitch, you ain't never followed the old ways. You're always watching fucking ESPN. You jerk off. And he's like, that's true. But yeah, she's like, I'm not into this barbaric bullshit. And Dick is like, but my family will never agree to the marriage unless, you know, we perform the ritual. And so she's like, well, here's your ring, bitch. Fuck you. And she goes to leave and she walks past Doyle and she says, not a fucking word or I'll eat your brains. And and there's this one funny part I forgot to mention when Harry and Cordy first come in and all the stuff stops. Like Cordy looks down and she sees this demon. So she just grabs a fucking serving tray and just starts beating the shit out of it without, because she doesn't know it's Doyle.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to human form and then jumps up and like comes behind her and she's like, Doyle, you know, but
she's like, well, look at your face. What did they do to you?
Yeah. She is wearing his ass out. And there's a funny line that Dick's brother says right at the end of that scene when she leaves Dick and he's all like, you don't need her anyway. Who wants a woman whose needs only been the one way?
Yeah.
And so anyway, back at the office, this is probably like the next evening or something. And Angel and Cordy are watching Doyle mope in the outer office. And, you know, she's all like, well, somebody needs to cheer him up. And Angel goes to go and we get a classic Cordy. She's like, no, please. Somebody that has a beating heart. And I was like, God, one of these days, Cordy, one of these fucking days.
Pow! Straight to the moon, Cordelia.
So she goes out.
That's a reference. I want anyone listening or watching right now to tell me what that.
You can't Google it.
And you can't Google it. What did I just reference now?
What were we referring to there?
What did I just reference right now?
Yeah.
Tell me in the comments below.
Down there.
Down.
So she's out there trying to cheer him up in her Cordelia way by saying, are you still fucking moping about that? That was like yesterday. She's like, get over it already. There's always tomorrow. And she's like, we already have one loser guy that hangs out in the office all the time. We don't need another one. And she basically says that, he'll get through it because he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. And he's like, wow, you really think I'm nice? And she's like, hey, I'm Cordelia. If I think it, I say it. And then I mean it. And so then she fucks off. And Angel's in there talking with him. And they're having a little bit of a heart-to-heart. And all of a sudden, Doyle's like, he gets a brain freeze. He's having one of his painful visions. And what do we see in his visions but Buffy fighting a bunch of vampires. And Angel's like, well, what the fuck did you see? And Doyle just stares at him blankly. And I'd be like, dude, did you have a fucking stroke? What the fuck did you see? And credits. And that's our episode.
Yep.
So, all right, bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Jeremy, would you like to guess our body count this week?
Yes, I would. The body count this week is, it's going to be rough because one for sure. I'm going to say one.
It's 3.
Bullshit.
Yes.
Oh my God. I forgot about the one they dusted that was going to throw the keg. Then Doyle dusted the other one. Where's the third one?
There were 2 that were dusted in the fight scene with in the keg. Yeah.
Fuck you.
Our music this week, just Christoph Beck and Robert J. Krall, series composers with our original score. Jeremy, will you please tell me on a scale of 1 to 5, how many? I didn't come up with anything clever for this one. I'm kind of ashamed of myself. What's your rating? What's your rating, bro?
You should be.
I am.
I've waffled back and forth, but since we've just gone through it, it's a 2. It's a 2 for me.
Okay.
It's just, and here's the thing. Usually a 2 for me would be something that's got a fuckload of problems and a lot of just horse shit and dumbassity.
Right.
It's not that. It's just, it's very boring. This episode, I remember this episode from the very first time I watched it when it originally aired.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this episode, and I remember then even being like, like when the episode ended, being like, damn, this week wasn't so fucking good. And, it was just one of those kind of meh episodes,
Okay.
Other than the things I've already picked out about it, there's nothing egregiously terrible. It's just, it was very silly to me and very boring and just kind of with what we're going to see next week. It was a very shitty way for some people to, you know what I mean? Like
what we're going to see next week
on the next, when we cover
Buffy
when
Angel.
we cover the next Angel episode.
Okay.
It's just, yeah, it's just, for a penultimate episode, it's not very fucking good. And it seemed like it was just kind of, I remember hearing a couple of the writers from Highlander talk about how there were usually extra episodes, scripts and whatnot floating around in the office for just in case type things.
Mm-hmm.
And this seems like one of those, like, grab a, we don't have any, grab something off the, the meh pile, and let's see if we can spruce it up a little bit, and let's go with that, and that's kind of what it seems like to me. I'm not saying that's the case, but that's what it seems like. And so, yeah, it's just, it's a 2. It's definitely missable. Even though we find out some stuff about Doyle, which is cool, it's not gonna fucking matter. So it's just a 2. Like, if things went differently, then what are gonna happen?
Well, I'll let you finish up and then I'll address what you just said.
Yeah, so I'm done. That's all I got to say. James, how many ridiculous ceremonial knives do you give this episode?
It's a 3. It's a 3. My opinion of it is, I don't want to say completely different than yours, but I will say it's substantially different. I think it's a fun little episode. It's kind of it's non consequential episode. Like, it doesn't really matter to the overall story. Um, it's just kind of out there on its own. And I think that's part of what makes it a fun episode for me, is it's just kind of like, a funny little standalone episode. We learn more about Doyle, and kind of to address your your comment about how with what comes to pass it doesn't matter. I get what you're saying, and we've talked about this before. I think that's part of the problem of revisiting these episodes, and also trying to view them through the lens of a first-time watcher. Because watching it the first time, we didn't know what was going to happen. So from that perspective, I liked that we learned about these other aspects of Doyle's personality and these tidbits about Doyle's past. I like seeing the development between Cordelia and Doyle in this episode. And and I'll be honest, I would venture to say that at this point in the process, they may not have completely known yet what they were ultimately going to have to do with the Doyle character.
Oh, no, they knew.
Think so?
No, I know they knew. I read about it. They knew, I think it was 3 episodes in, they knew. And they knew when it was going to happen.
Okay, well.
It's weird. You should look into it and read. It's very murky, and there's not it's almost like it's secret as to why this happened, but not as far as when they knew and all that stuff. But it's so fucking weird. But anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, trying to view it from the lens of a first time watcher, it's, to me, is, like I said, it's a fun little standalone episode that kind of is inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. It was enjoyable to learn more about Doyle's past and these other aspects of his personality, and to see, like I said, this relationship between Cordelia and Doyle growing. The end teaser there does set up, ultimately our next 2 episodes, an episode of Buffy and an episode of Angel. And they're good episodes, both of them. Pangs is a pretty good episode of Buffy. A very rare Thanksgiving themed episode of a show. You hardly ever see that on shows. And then the next episode of Angel, I Will Remember You, is, I mean,
But will you remember me?
I try to forget every week, and yet
Wow.
here we are.
Wow. Wow. You know
Um,
what? It's been a little while. Yeah, like this.
All right. Well, Jeremy has once again quit the show. So,
And I'm back.
no, I Will Remember You is, in my opinion, and I don't know, knowing you and how you feel about feelings and melodrama and
This is one
stuff.
of the greatest episodes of this show.
Okay.
ever.
I'm a little surprised to hear that take from you, to be honest.
But you have to. You can't deny it. I mean,
Right. Yeah, I Will Remember You is probably, and I think, man, like, we keep saying this, and I hope we're finally proven right. I kind of think I Will Remember You is a tonal shift, maybe not necessarily a tonal shift for the show, but I think that's the point where the show that we remember kind of kicks in and starts to become.
I think it really happens in the following episode, Hero.
Right.
For obvious reasons,
right.
And the episode after it.
Yeah. But I definitely think, like, those three, it definitely starts in I Will Remember You, and we see that continuing to follow through, Hero, and then I don't even remember the name of the next episode, but after that, but yeah, I think that's where it really starts to become the show that we keep saying it is, and unfortunately we haven't seen it be that yet.
Well, season 1 is a little bumpy.
Right. And as a lot of season 1s of really great shows tend to be.
Exactly.
I mean, you and I have had this discussion about, of Highlander, like, you happen to love season 1 of Highlander, and I
love the Paris half of the Canada. The first Canada half is it's rough.
Right. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, this is a 3 for me. It's, it's just a fun little episode. Doesn't kind of really matter in the long run here or there, but sometimes those are just, decent little one-off episodes that you kind of enjoy for kind of being, nothing, so to speak.
They are just, this one in particular just didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, it is what it is, and nothing wrong with that, or, no fault in that. Just,
it didn't tickle my taint.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I can 100% see where this, wouldn't be, someone's cup of tea.
And it might be like the old me, like, coloring that, because I so vividly remember seeing this when it first aired, and when it ended, being like, ugh, that's Angel for the week. That fucking blows.
Right.
Like, I hated when those I hated those episodes,
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I waited all week and this is what I fucking got,
Sure. So, but as always, you guys can find us at BuffyRevisited.com. You'll find links to the Facebook and the YouTube, weekly posts for the episodes. Hop into the comments section. Leave us your thoughts and opinions and reviews about the episodes, about the shows, about the podcast, about Jeremy, about me. Hop into our email, BuffyRevisited@gmail.com. You can send your thoughts and comments and whatnot there as well. And they will all be addressed in our monthly listener mail extravaganza episode. Fun fact, the way our episodes are going to fall for this month, the Buffy episode, or the Buffy Thanksgiving episode, Pangs, will be dropping the week of Thanksgiving.
What?
Yeah. So that's
It's like we did that on purpose, which we actually didn't.
we absolutely did not.
We could not have done that on purpose if we wanted to.
Right, which is why it is amusing to me that that it works out so fortuitously that way. But yeah, so that's kind of fun for me. I got a kick out of seeing that. But yeah, once again, Darlene will be our guest for our listener extravaganza episode at the end of November. But please don't let that stop anybody from reaching out to us to be our listener guest for the episode after that. And
because hey, the next person will get to be the final listener of 20 and 23.
yes, that is right. And of course, as always, please keep the comments coming in the comment section. It's been uncharacteristically quiet down there, and we would love to see it ramped up again. I said this a few weeks ago. Even if you're planning on being the listener guest for the listener mail extravaganza episode, please still drop your comments in the comment section for the episode, because ultimately that is what we'll be relying on to talk about the episode with you, is the notes and comments you leave on that episode on Facebook or YouTube. In addition to also trying to not trying, but in addition to also covering any comments that other people have left. And that's all I have.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. As always, join us next week for Buffy Season 4, Episode 8, Pangs.
Yes.
And don't forget, I failed to mention it last week, but don't forget, BuffyRevisited.printify.me is our merch store. If you want some Slade the Buffyverse Revisited merch, check it out.
You can find the link to that merch store in the descriptions of the episode you're listening to right now. There's a link. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll find our link tree. You'll find a link to that, and there should be a link on BuffyRevisited.com at this point. So yeah,
and
please.
Also one in every single episode that pops up.
Yeah, every episode description on the audio and video version of the podcast has the link. I bought a mug, which I showed off here a couple episodes ago. I don't have it with me now, unfortunately. It's a very nice mug, good quality, keeps my hot drinks hot and my cold drinks cold. One of our listeners did purchase one of the shirts. She is happy with her purchase. She said it's if she bought, I believe, the small in the beefy tee, which
the unisex, yeah.
So and it fit her quite well from what I understand. So she's happy with it. I'll see if I can get her permission to maybe post a few pictures of it, of her with it. Cool. But yeah, so yeah, hop over there, buy some merch. For anybody that doesn't know, because maybe they don't follow on the Facebook or whatnot, but Jeremy did make the announcement when we announced the official drop of the merch store that anything that is made from merch purchases will be donated to a charity. I don't know that we've decided what charity yet, but
no, I'm assuming it'll be a while before we have.
Right.
Because what I did when I set this store up, I set the profit margin as low as it would go.
Right.
Per item, so the items would be as cheap as possible for the listener. Yeah. And I think I want to say it was 10% was the lowest I could go. So like a $20 shirt would be like $2. So right. I'd say once we probably have $50 or so, we'll figure out. It'll go to some kind of charity though. It's,
Right. And that's what I was going to say too, is that I do know Jeremy set the profit margins, as low as they could possibly go. So that to keep the merchandise cheap, because we're not looking to profit off of the merch. We genuinely just wanted to put stuff out there for you guys to buy, if you wanted to rep the podcast.
Represent.
Right, because Jeremy and I both have items from various podcasts that we listen to rep those podcasts. Jeremy far more than I do.
I have a lot.
but anyway, yeah. So that is officially all I have to say now.
All righty. Well, with all that being said, we can't wait to see you next week. And until then, I have been one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
Ta-ta.